is Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Sponsored by a live credit union.
Well, it's just me. So buckle in, folks. We're going to have a good time here on Fleet and Footy. And I say just me for now. We have a great guest lined up for today's show on Fleet and Footy. And technology willing, Louis Lorandi, my co-host on Fleet and Footy, your favorite soccer show in Jacksonville, will be joining me on the back half of the show. And it's just me for good reason. Of course, Louis, as well as the rest of the Jacksonville Armada MLS NEXT youth squads, they are en route. They're headed out west to the West Coast for a big-time competition, the MLS NEXT Fest, as they call it out there. And that includes some big-time matches for the boys in blue, the under-19s getting involved in a really, really prestigious tournament with a chance to get into a even bigger tournament. And it's really cool stuff. And over the course of today's show here on Fleet and Footy, we will hear from one of those players. We will possibly hear from one of those coaches in Tommy Krzanovich about that journey and about really what this tournament means this weekend for the boys in blue. As mentioned, the under-19s. They're looking to qualify for the Generation Adidas Cup, which is a big-time global tournament which features teams from all over the world coming to the United States to play in Bradenton for a title. And really one of the cool things about this tournament is the fact that the Jacksonville Armada are getting a chance to compete in this thing in year number one. Let's take a look at the bracket. I love brackets. Anytime you get a bracket for a tournament, I just absolutely love it. Of course, should the Armada win this thing, they go on to the Generation Adidas Cup. So it is going to be a very fierce competition with some really good soccer teams from around the country at that U19 level. We've talked about how the Armada are right up there towards the top of the Florida rankings in the U19 ranks so far this season, right there with Weston FC, who you see there on the top left side of the bracket. So perhaps a Florida championship match. That's all down the road. Something to look out for as the Armada continue to play. They get things started with KSA, and then perhaps the winner of Michigan and Danza. Team names in soccer are fun. They're all over the map. And we'll ask Louis a little bit more about this tournament and what it means later on in the show. He's really the expert on such things, what with him being around the team all the time and being involved with the team on that closer level. Let's, Hamby, if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and hear from Jackson Schroeder, who's one of the players on the Jacksonville Armada team and one of the players who's being honored by getting to play in an all-star game while out on the West Coast with the squad. So Louis had a chance to catch up with Jackson Schroeder here earlier this week to find out what this tournament means to him and what an opportunity it's going to be, not just for he and his teammates, but for him personally to shine in a showcase event.
From Jacksonville, being a local product, going to Ponte Vedra High School, what's it like playing for the local MLS NEXT team in the Jacksonville Armada?
It's very nice. I've grown up here. I've lived here my whole life. I've played at JFC, and then I just played here my whole life, so it's nice to be on the top team at a very good club and play with all of my friends and all of my teammates that I play with my whole life. And, winning games, celebrating with them, it's just been fun.
What does a tournament like this mean to you?
It's very big because, the whole fall season we've been preparing for this tournament and practicing 4 times a week, playing every Saturday or Sunday, preparing for this tournament. So we put a lot of work into it, and all that work is to, win in the tournament when it matters most.
Obviously, this is kind of a new team, so how has the transition been, and what do you think's been so successful in that transition to make sure you guys are atop of the Florida standings?
Well, I think it all starts in practice. I think everyone gives 100% in practice every day, 4 days a week, and we all get along. We all, laugh in practice and just have fun, and then, it all goes together on Saturday and Sunday. And, in the warm-ups and in all that, talking, all that.
So, Jackson, you've been picked for the MLS NEXT Fest All-Star Game. What's that feeling like, and what does that mean to you?
It's very big, with all of the college coaches there. It's going to be a great way to show myself and show my club, my team, and kind of what we're made of. And I hope I could do well in it and show all the other teams that Armada is really good. You know, we could put Armada on the big platform in that game with all the coaches there and all the different teams from around the country. And so yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully I play good. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, no pressure. Just go perform in front of all these big time scouts and coaches, and yeah, it's good stuff for Jackson to have that opportunity. As mentioned, he's one of the players on that U19 squad and a player who's getting an opportunity to shine in an all-star game, so very cool for him. Of course, Elmar Bolovic is the head coach of that U19 squad. Tommy Krzanovich heading up the 17s and the 16s. We'll hear from Coach Tommy K a little bit later on in the show. Of course, we know Tommy K from his time coaching the U23s over the summers, as well as his playing time with the Armada. So really cool there, and just a cool opportunity. I think one of the important things about this program, this MLS Next program, especially with the entering it into the first year now for the Jacksonville Armada, having a U19, 17, 16, you might look at some of those younger age divisions as the groups that you want to develop and eventually get into the pro ranks. Well, the really cool thing is that with some of these guys in the other classifications, you're giving them opportunities to showcase themselves, whether that's going to be to play on a professional rank one day, or perhaps their future lies in the college game. And that's certainly a very big possibility for a lot of these young local players who are getting this chance to play in MLS Next and then have that opportunity down the road as well. So really cool stuff to have this MLS Next program, and we'll hear more about it. The guys are in the air right now, headed west. Of course, Louis Larandy will join us. I believe he's going to join us from Dallas, the halfway point for that flight out west, coming up in just a little bit on the show. All right, one more Armada mention we want to get here off the top of the show before we get to our star guest of the day. That's Tom Piatak from Carlisle United, of course, the local guy here in Jacksonville who owns an English 4th Division team, which is really a wild story, and you'll be able to hear all about it here in just a few minutes on Fleet and Footy. But first, we wanted to give a big shout out to Pia Bazic. Pia Bazic earning a call-up to her national team, which is really, really a big honor. Had a chance to go and be part of the roster with Slovenia. And, of course, Pia played for the Armada women's under-23 team this past summer. So anytime you get that national call-up and get that opportunity to go and play on a big stage, or even in this case, just be part of the roster and have that opportunity to see what it looks like out on the big field, just really, really cool for Pia to have that opportunity and to be an Armada representative at that international level is just so cool, because that's the first year for the women's team as well. That women's under-23 side, we had that debut season this past summer, and to already have a player get that opportunity, you got to look at her here from this past summer. It's just so cool. So cool to have that chance, to have that opportunity, and to take advantage of it, right? Certainly awesome stuff there. By the way, an extra shout out to Coach Goffey, David Goff, the head coach of the women's under-23 team. I know he's very proud of his Welsh women. The Wales team qualifying for the Euros on the women's side is a really big accomplishment for them. Even if more recently he was coaching with the English team, his roots, of course, lead him to root for the Welsh as well. All right, we are going to take our first time out here on Fleet and Footy, and the reason why is because we've got a special guest lined up for you as Tom Piatak is set to join us and talk some Carlisle United, talk about being right here in Jacksonville and yet connected across the pond to the folks over in England as well. That is coming up next right here on Fleet and Footy.
Ancla Dorada. The official bear of your Jacksonville Armada.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7. People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms. Whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
This is Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, sponsored by Alive Credit Union.
Hey, welcome back to Fleet and Footy here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. And on this show, we like to talk about the Fleet, your Jacksonville Armada, as well as the overall sport of footy, talking soccer not only locally, but really all over the globe. And that is where we bring in our next segment, and we bring in...
This is Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, sponsored by Alive Credit Union.
We bring in Tom Piatak II here, part of Carlisle United FC, and right here in Jacksonville. And a lot of people here in Jacksonville, they don't know the story. They don't know the story about the Piatak family and deciding to jump into this venture of owning a team over in England and playing in League Two at the moment. I say at the moment because everyone's trying to go up, up, up that pyramid when it comes to English soccer. Tom, how's it going?
Doing well, good Stuart. Glad to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So for a little over a year now, you and your family have owned Carlisle United FC. For the folks here in Jacksonville who have no idea where Carlisle is, it's way in the north, a small little town, and man, they love their soccer up there. Of course, they call it football. They don't call it soccer over there. I guess let's take me back to the beginning here, right? And let's start with how this journey started for you and your family to get involved, not just supporting a team, but you know what? Let's just go own a team over there.
Yeah, it's been quite the ride. Long journey for sure. You could go as far back as playing days. Myself and my sister. I saw the young man you had on before. I started out there at Patton Park playing for Kicks, which then became JUFC, which is now JFC, I believe. And my sister also played out there. My father coached, and you know we always had a strong love of the game. It's always been, I would say, the number one sport in our family has been football. And the way it's progressed, I don't think any of us saw it going in this direction back then. But we couldn't be more excited, specifically on the team. It'd probably be about 2 or 3 years ago where we kind of got together as a family. We've got 3 couples with my parents, myself and my wife, and my sister and her husband, which really allows us to be flexible with having 3 different groups that can all be participating. And we got together and said, hey, look, this is something we want to do. This is something we can do. Now, how do we do it and where do we do it? And to be quite honest, at that point in time, we didn't know where Carlisle was on the map. Just like you might have mentioned to a few people watching, Where is Carlisle? Very northwest of England, right below Scotland. Couldn't have told you that 2.5 years ago. But once we found it and we did our research, we narrowed it down. We looked worldwide, locally here in Jacksonville. We've obviously got the Armada and the new USL team, and we've got good connections with both of them and continue to have good connections with both of them. And then we've looked throughout the world. We really honed in on England and Scotland, and the League One, League Two area was where we thought we could make a difference and be a viable group that came into a club. We found Carlisle United, filtered to the top of about 5 clubs in our list. We went through every single club in the country, whether it was unrealistic or not. We still went and looked through them, went through our criteria, and Carlisle actually finished on the top. And we couldn't have been happier to have had a positive interaction with the previous shareholders, which were a few individuals, as well as the fans actually owned 25% of the club prior to us, and the fans do still own 10% of the club. So luckily, everything was able to align between the previous shareholders and ourselves, and we were able to get where we are today, and really just absolutely loving it. Despite not having the best results to the start, as you said, football, you have your ups and downs, and you go with it.
Yeah, we'll get to the current state of affairs and what that up and down life has been like for you in just a bit. But I guess my first question is, how does one find out what teams are for sale? I mean, it's not like you got a Craigslist ad that just says, "Hey, we got this English soccer team. If anyone's interested, come check it out."
Yeah, no, it was actually quite the story. The first week we just kind of started putting out some feelers, just kind of reaching out, and we got some positive responses. We had a mutual friend who was involved with a National League club, and he kind of was able to first introduce us to the English system as a whole. To be quite honest, with Carlisle United, it's a story that's gotten out there. We actually messaged the group of fan ownership that owned 25% of the club, and it had actually gone to their spam email. And luckily, they decided to check it, and they decided to see if we were real. And then upon meeting us and continuing our conversation, realized, okay, that we actually have some qualified individuals here, qualified candidates. And from there it grew. But if they had never checked that email, I don't know if we'd be having this conversation today, at least not regarding Carlisle United.
Well, that's good, because I never check that folder in my inbox, so I stay away from that folder as much as possible. So hey, good news that you guys were able to do that and to be able to kind of get on the way on this journey. Before you guys were able to actually purchase the team, you actually went over and were able to see them get promoted up to League One, both with a 2-leg playoff and then a game at Wembley. Talk me through that experience and the pre-ownership stage where you're still witnessing things from the outside, but able to already see the passion and the joy that this team brings to that community.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable week. I don't think the club could have had a better opportunity to showcase itself, and for us to see it at the peak of what it could be. As you mentioned, during that week when we first went over there, we were technically a little incognito. They kind of had us hidden because they didn't want word to get out there if things were a little too early. But we had Bradford City was the team we were playing in the playoffs. We'd qualified in 5th in League Two. The top 3 teams we promoted 4 through 7 go to the playoffs. We were 5th, so we played Bradford away at first. If you haven't seen their stadium, it's a wonderful facility, ex-Premier League ground. They had well over 25,000, I believe, in attendance there that day. An amazing day. Carlisle lost 1-0, but we knew we had the home leg coming up next a week later. We got to then go up to Carlisle for actually the very first time in the actual city of Carlisle. It was after that. Bradford's based around Leeds. And when we got to Carlisle, we absolutely fell in love with the city. We do see some semblances to Jacksonville. It's actually the largest land-wise city in England, something we're all used to here in Jacksonville, driving around, however long it might take you to get from one point of the city to another. But we really fell in love. We had perfect weather. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better week. Fell in love with the city, fell in love with a lot of the local community, the area. It has a very homey feel to it. You can really walk the city unless you're outside. I mean, like a lot of European cities, very walkable, tons of good food. So everything you could hope for. And then came the game on Saturday where it actually finished 1-0 Carlisle in regulation and then 2-1 in extra time to eventually, 3-2 on aggregate win for Carlisle United. Progressed to Wimbledon where we ran into Stockport County, they were on a a great trajectory, and have continued it and have since been promoted the following season. And we managed to take them to penalties. We finished 5, they finished 4. Our keeper at the time, Thomas Holy, huge save. And just seeing the absolute passion from that stadium, from that community, the way it was just walking around, you could feel the energy in the air. And we fell in love very, very early on once we got up to Carlisle United.
Let's talk about the community reaction over there in Carlisle, because so many times you see someone coming from maybe another country like the U.S. and coming to come own your team, and what are they going to do? What's it going to look like? And it's funny because I went on a lot of social media posts. I wanted to see what the people were saying, and you'll find out what people are saying if you just go on social media posts. And everything I see is all positive, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with the investment that you and your family have been putting into the club, not only the on-the-field stuff, but really the infrastructure and everything that goes along with the team to make it sustainable for many years to come. What for you has kind of been the reaction that you've gotten from the faithful of the Blues over there in Carlisle?
Yeah, it's been overwhelmingly positive, as you mentioned. There were a few that were wavering, as you said, on
you'll
outside.
Get a few in there. You'll get a few in there, yeah.
Yankees, however they wanted to say it, coming in. I think a really key factor that did play in our favor here was we're a family. We're not some investment corporation or private equity or anything coming in. We made a commitment as a family that this was just like our businesses back here in Jacksonville. Take a look at how those are ran. Talk to the people that work there, and you'll get a good idea for how we operate things. And we kind of made that promise to the community that everything we're doing is for Carlisle United and Cumbria and the area. We even said if we ever made $1, we'd put that $1 right back in. We don't expect to ever make $1, but if we did, it would be going right back into the club. And in terms of the investment, it's been a long year, a very productive year in terms of the investment. A lot of the stadium and the ground around it had been kind of stagnant for about 15 years. They really didn't do what we call tailgating. It was not a huge thing over there. We've now introduced, they had started this area called the fan zone. Well, we have now pregame, postgame. We've got a giant TV in there that'll always show the early game and the late game that's allowed on TV without the blackout. And now you'll have an average, 3,000 to 5,000 fans that'll be there for an extra hour and a half before the game. Whole area set up for the kids. Everything along that line that gives you a really community feel. And let's go have a good day out. Hopefully the results go our way. Hopefully we score 3. But if we don't, we had a good day out. And then along with that, the investment into the East Stand as well as the current player area, we completely redid the locker room. We redid all of the where the players spend their time, where they have their meals, some of the ways the technology the coaching staff can use. We updated all that. And then the East Stand was a very unique story. I don't want to go too deep into it here, but basically it was built in 1995. A guy had the vision of moving the pitch about, 15 feet down to the left. That was never able to happen due to a flood embankment and a river behind it. So our stand is a little skewed off center pitch. But it's a completely built stand in terms of seating and the first row concourse, but it was never finished above that. So the second floor and the third floor where you'd have your club hospitality, your executive corporate boxes. We've also built classrooms as we have our academy and students there that need to have schooling when they're not in class specifically because they're, at an away game or something with our academy. We were able to completely build that out, and we were lucky enough that it had the shell and it just needed to be finished. So we were able to go in. Major credit to all the construction companies that have helped us along this summer because it was a very quick turnaround on the project. But they got it done, and it just opened, I believe, a couple weeks ago. We even had some people from the Visit Jacks contingency there.
Oh, nice.
To take a look at it and get a feel for it.
Yeah, I did read in one of the press releases a connection to Jacksonville and just the future of that. If you can kind of comment on what this does for the city of Jacksonville and Carlisle together, just to be able to connect, your current hometown and this community that you guys are pouring so much of your time, money, and passion into.
Yeah, we definitely see there being a strong connection. As I mentioned, Jacksonville and Carlisle, I feel like as someone who lives here, I see a lot of similarities between the two cities. But beyond that, we think there's a ton that can be done. We've connected already the University of North Florida and the University of Cumbria, which is located there.
Are they also the Ospreys by any chance over there, or no?
No, unfortunately, no. That would be quite something, though. But have gotten that conversation started, whether that results in exchange students, maybe someone that wants to be interested in, a specific sports science, that, football that might be offered over here in a professional level, or if they want to come and experience American sports and, the way that we have them. So that's one connection that could be done, along with, bringing the team over, having some youth camps, getting the youth involved. I grew up playing local, rec ball and club ball here in Jacksonville. And I know how important it is. I've been out there both at Carlisle when our academy's playing, and you'll have 200, 300 kids out there playing. I've been out at Patton Park on any given Saturday. And just how important it is to have, a good place where the youth can get together and play. We see opportunities for the team to come over, and whether that's connecting with, some of the local clubs, some of the Jacks Armada, the Jacks USL team, whoever it might be, to, best kind of showcase what Carlisle United is, what Carlisle United, can be, hopefully gain some fans along the way, and really try to show how it can go both ways, and bring also maybe some football fans over to Carlisle and, let them have some training experience and taking a match day of an EFL game, which is definitely a sight to behold if you haven't had one.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few Fulham matches. Of course, we go over there every year to London for the Jaguars games, and obviously that's Premier League / Championship. But really, every division over there is so cool to see what the different levels look like, and to see how they build their way up. And it's such a unique system where these teams are being promoted and relegated, and every single look, you're not going to have, the last 4 or 5 games of the season not meaning anything if your quarterback goes on IR. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. But the point is that every game matters from start to end of the season for every team, which is such a cool aspect of the English soccer pyramid over there. All right, I got to ask you a question here. A lot of people in the United States right now that are being exposed to this idea of teams moving up the pyramid are getting it from Wrexham. Of course, they're watching the show. You're living the show in a way, right? I mean, granted, you weren't in Deadpool, so it's a little different in that regard. But you guys as a family are getting a chance to kind of live this. What do you think when you watch the show or hear about it, or people talk to you about it? I'm sure people will draw comparisons and say some things. What has that been like for you guys?
It's definitely been an interesting topic of conversation. You can draw the connections as close as, I believe, the first episode of the second season starts at Carlisle United with the goalkeeper they take was our current goalkeeper, and Aaron Hayden, who was a regular on their team, I believe, for the first couple of years. We actually just signed him this year. So it's really moving in tandem, and you see people say, I actually know that guy, and it's because I watched him on Welcome to Wrexham, or maybe some other way watching the league football. But it's been an interesting experience. The ups and downs, as you mentioned, it's much different. I think Trevor is probably done for the year, and I'm probably okay with that as a Jaguars fan. I think it's the best thing for him, and for the franchise. But as you mentioned, last year or any year, you can go up or down in English football. And last year we did go down, and those games you'll see them. It's almost even more important. It's almost even more intense with that pressure of I cannot drop those points. We find ourselves right now in the relegation area. It's still very, very early. We're tied with 3 teams as well. So nothing to be concerned about at this point, but it definitely adds that level of intensity to every detail. And sometimes when a draw is a win, and sometimes when a draw is a loss. And that is also something that it takes a little bit to get used to. You can win with a draw, you can lose with a draw. The way it all works out can be very dependent on the situation.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you talk about that pressure, and you guys as a whole had to make a coaching change very early in the season this year because you felt like it was the best thing as far as a long-term move goes for the club. These are some tough decisions to make, and I do not envy you and your dad and everyone making all these decisions because that is tough. That's tough stuff. What was that process like earlier this year?
Yeah, it was a tough one. We really loved Paul, who was the previous manager. He'd been involved with the club for a number of years, not directly prior to us, but I believe it was his 3rd spell as the manager. and he had gotten the club promoted in every one of those spells, basically, including 2 years ago in 2021. He had gotten the club promoted. He's also a local to Carlisle, so he really was a local hero, and he is an amazing individual. He led England's, I believe, U19's to a World Cup. He's one of only 2 English managers to ever win a World Cup, although obviously not at the senior level. Still got to go through the tournament with high-level players. So, he had a ton of experience. Unfortunately, after all of last season and the start of this season, we did feel a change was needed, and a change had to be made. So we did. We went ahead with that, and we've brought in Mike Williamson, who's the new current manager, as well as Rob Clarkson as a sporting director or a GM type role, which is something the club has never had before, and something we felt was needed to just have that extra layer there to kind of help us as owners who are not present 24/7. As much as we do try to be over there quite a bit, and we are over there quite a bit, we do still also live in Jacksonville and have businesses to run here. So having Mike and Rob in place, we're feeling very comfortable. But it was a long, difficult road to make that decision and to go through it. And then the experience of hiring a coach and hiring a GM, never thought I would be going through those, but it was an amazing time. And we hope we made the right decision, and time will tell.
By the way, if you run into any issues with the tabloids because of my name, that might happen. There's a former sporting director of Norwich City with my exact spelling, first and last name, of Stuart Weber. So they might, connect Tom Piatak interviews with Stuart Weber, possible role, question mark. So just be aware that might show up in
you know how fast things start going once they get online.
Those tabloids over there are something else too. I will say that. All right, talk to me about your kit. You got the kit on right now. I think that's pretty cool that you get to wear the colors basically everywhere you go, right?
Say training kit on here. Just a little jacket. The weather outside today in Jacksonville. It's been a little chilly the last week or two.
They wouldn't say that in Carlisle, would they?
No, it's nice spring weather for them.
Yeah,
over there it is quite cold. It is. We actually had we were worried about a potential frozen pitch situation last week.
That's a thing for them. Issues. Okay.
Yeah, it's that level. But overall, it avoids most of the worst weather, I'll say. They tell us we're in a bit of a valley, and for some reason it goes around Carlisle. So other than flooding, which again something we're well accustomed to here in Jacksonville and in Florida, Carlisle doesn't have to deal with too much of the elements outside of the occasional frozen pitch. Not really our match day one, but really our practice one, where we'll maybe have to make an alternative solution on that.
Yeah, no hurricanes up there in the northern part of the UK, certainly to worry about. But yeah, so you're wearing the colors right now. How often do people ask you about it when you're walking around town in Jacksonville? I'm sure proudly wearing your gear as much as possible. What kind of conversations do you get with the locals here in Duval County?
Yeah, a lot of interested questions. A lot of what is that? I would say this is probably about as basic as it gets for us.
I saw some of the jerseys. Some of those jerseys look pretty cool for this year.
You've seen our last 2 away kits, the fruit salad, which got a little famous. Someone wore it to Wimbledon, and I was supposed to wear white. And they wore it to Wimbledon, and the announcers put them on TV, and someone went, "Is that Carlisle United? What on earth?" And I've actually worn that to a few Jumbo Shrimp games, and people come up and they're like, "What is that? Where can I get that? That looks like a good time." The current one, it's kind of got a mint green to it. A lot of people are comparing it to Sully from Monsters Inc.
Okay.
Sully on tour. And people are wearing them all over. And it's a big thing in the community. You wear your kit, all over the world. You take pictures and you post it. And Carlisle's a small enough community to where, people can all get excited for each other. And you see the fruit salad on tour in, Australia or Argentina or anything like that, and you get excited. That was right at the beginning of TakeOver, so almost a year ago, right before November of last year. The 6 of us, and that's our Warwick Road End, which is a great place to experience a game if you ever get the opportunity. It's not necessarily the best view, but it's a heck of an experience.
You got to watch out for like a giant beam in the way of your view, right? In some spots.
A little bit of that, right. That area is probably where our you'd call that kind of our crazies go. Our section 904.
Sure.
They've got the drum back there. They've got the people singing the whole game. It's an absolute amazing experience. Extremely loud when you're in there, and you have an absolute ball. But highly recommend it. I've spent a few games in there, especially before we had taken over. Just enjoying the experience, enjoying the match, and absolutely loved it.
Yeah, the drums and everything that comes along with it are really cool. So yeah, awesome stuff here. Tom Piatak II from Carlisle United FC joining us to talk about the club. And I guess I'll kind of end you with this. You got any secret information you can give us about the January transfer window? I'm sure you guys are probably looking at some people, taking a look at some guys.
Yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy in terms of what I can tell you, but it's definitely going to be, a window that's always active. You got teams that are, buying and selling, and again, different to the sports world in the U.S., where if you're towards the bottom, you're almost always a seller, and top you're a buyer. Well, if you're towards the bottom and you think you need to stay up, you're a buyer. So it's always an interesting window. Slightly different, obviously, where it starts and ends versus just having a trade deadline date. So it keeps things very interesting for that multi-week period, and I'm sure Carlisle will have a couple tricks up our sleeve that will be coming out.
All right, I love to hear it. Do you know when's your next trip over there? When do you have planned for your next trip?
So I'll be over there for the holidays, around for Christmas Day, Boxing Day. So all of our matches you can be streamed online. CU TV will have everything internationally, as well as quite a few are on Paramount Plus over in the States. That's who they have the deal with. But yeah, I'll be doing a 3-week trip over end of December into January. And that's really how the family does it, is we try to split up between the 3 couples and, 2 month-long trips at a time. And between the 6 of us, we like to think we can cover as many games as we possibly can.
That's awesome. Awesome stuff. Well, good luck the rest of the season. Obviously working your way back up the table first and then eventually back up the pyramid over there with Carlisle United FC. And for the folks here in Jacksonville, if you need a team to support, other than, of course, your Jacksonville Armada here locally, well, Carlisle United is accepting local fans here in the 904 and would certainly be glad to have you. Tom, thank you so much for joining us here on Fleet and Footy and sharing the story a little bit.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
All right, appreciate you. Awesome stuff there with Tom Piatak II from Carlisle United FC, playing currently in League 2 of the English Pyramid, which is not confusing at all, by the way. League 2 is the 4th division. So if you need the numbers on the math, League 1 is the 3rd division, the Championship is the 2nd division, and the Premier League is, of course, tops. Little Premier League update popping in on my phone. Fulham with a 1-0 lead over Brighton Hove and Albion. Of course, Fulham, also owned by somebody with Jacksonville ties. That, of course, Shad Khan, who some people aren't happy with in Jacksonville right now. But we won't get into Jaguars discussions here on Fleet and Footy. I already think I broke my Jaguar quota by mentioning that the last few games of the season might not actually matter. But we'll go to them, and we'll cover them, and we'll have them for you on all of our other programs here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. All right, good stuff there. Let's go ahead and take another timeout here, Jason, and when we come back, we'll hear from head coach Tommy Krzanovich talking about his involvement with the youth program here of the Jacksonville Armada. We'll preview the MLS Cup final. That's coming up on Fox 30 this weekend, so exciting matchup to look forward to in that one. We, of course, have your weird soccer story of the week, which we will certainly do each and every week, and we're going to get Louis Lorandi on the show. We'll get him to dial in from somewhere in the middle of the country as the Armada head west. All that is coming up next right here on Fleet and Footy. People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Imagine a brokerage platform that gives agents the flexibility to move between comp plans so that they can spend their entire career in one place while earning stock and recruiting other agents. And imagine the entire enterprise is created and backed by a proven industry innovator. Now imagine this platform already exists, Imagine you own this platform. Imagine how large you can grow, how much revenue share you could earn. Just imagine.
Get local sports on demand with Action Sports Jax 24/7. All sports, all local, all the time. From the locker room to the field, the Jags, high school football, the Jacksonville Armada, and don't forget the Brett and Austin Show. They're all in on Trevor. Of course. Download the Action News Jax Now app, available wherever you stream or at actionnewsjax.com. TV, phone, laptop, desktop. Action Sports Jax 24/7. Jacksonville sports, all the time.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
This is Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, sponsored by a live credit union.
And welcome back to Fleet and Footy. A little reminder for you for your calendar. Be sure to circle December 20th at 7 o'clock over at Ruby Beach Brewing. That's when the Jacksonville Armada, as well as Section 904 holiday party, will be taking place in downtown Jacksonville. Going to be a whole lot of fun. Get together with your fellow Armada fans and celebrate the season. By the way, it's also Dutch Christmas today. So big shout out to everybody celebrating Sinterklaasdag throughout the country. Just me? Maybe just me. I think other people maybe put their shoes out as well for Sinterklaas to go fill up this morning. But if you did, happy Dutch Christmas to all my fellow Dutch folks. And I hope you got your chocolate letter with your name on it. Good stuff. That was really cool getting a chance to catch up with Tom Piatak II from Carlisle United FC here on Fleet and Footy. Last week we had Carson Pickett on the show. If you missed it last week, you can go check that out on our Action Sports Jax YouTube page or any of the social media channels. I know I just tweeted it out about an hour ago as well, our conversation with Carson, the local grad who's now playing for the Orlando Pride and a champion in the NWSL. All right, let's go ahead and you need me to get him to flip back there, Hamby? Okay, let me get that going right now. A little behind the scenes. Sending a message. All right, cool. Whenever you're ready, yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll make this work here. We got Lewis calling in. We just had to make sure we had him looking good. I mean, that's not very a problem for my part of the screen, but we got Big Lou dialing in from the airport out there in Dallas. Lewis, how was flight number 1? Was it good?
It was great. It was a quick, easy flight. The boys are amped. They're ready to go. We are currently in Dallas Airport. We're on the way to Ontario Airport, and we will be on our way to Indio, California, to MLS NEXT Fest. So it's exciting. All the boys are excited. Really big opportunity for the club.
You can let that microphone just kind of hang. I mean,
I didn't know if you guys could hear me or not. There's a lot of people around, so trying to figure it out.
No, you sound fine there. Just keep your face in the center of the screen for us, and we'll be good to go, my friend. So Ontario, we're not talking about Ontario, Canada. We're talking about Ontario, the airport out in California. And this is a big opportunity for these players to go shine and perform at a high level against some really good teams and good competition.
Absolutely, the U19's qualified with their fantastic fall season. So it's been really cool to see them progress and qualify for this kind of a tournament. The only other team from Florida that will be there is Weston. With a win in this tournament, they get to qualify for a tournament later on in the year in February where they can come against the top academies in the world. We're talking about the Barcelonas, the Man Cities, the Man Uniteds. So it's a really cool opportunity, not only to try to qualify for that tournament, but get your face out in front of college coaches and recruits and to see if these kids want to go to the next level and continue their education and continue playing soccer.
Yeah, really cool stuff there. We'll get more into that here next week and see kind of how it goes. Coming up next here on Fleet and Footy, we're going to talk about the MLS Cup Final, as well as your weird soccer story of the week. But before we get to that part, I do want to run a conversation that you had with Tommy Krzanovich here in the last couple days, just talking about what it means to him to be involved with this organization, especially at the youth level, and getting this chance to work with this next generation of soccer players. Let's hear from your conversation with Tommy Krzanovich here earlier this week.
Tommy, you obviously played for the Jacksonville Armada. What is it like now becoming the director of the academy?
Yeah, really exciting. It's definitely it's been definitely a long path, but it's very exciting to be able to give back and provide opportunities for our players from within the community and players that have been aspiring to play at the Armada level and play pro, that have been watching our pro players in the past years. So taking lead on such a big responsibility and role has been a dream. It's been fantastic to work with good staff as well, and yeah, overall really exciting.
Obviously, this is the first year with the Jacksonville Armada Academy. How has the transition been going from JFC to the Jacksonville Armada MLS Next program?
Good, very positive. Lots of good takeaways that we want to improve upon. Obviously, it's the first year, and so we are definitely trialing a lot of things. We understand how pro academies work, whether they are from within the States or how pro academies in Europe work. We want to have our own identity in how we do things and how we operate. I'm sure, like most, but it's been a process. It's been a journey. Overall, it's coming together to a point where it's molding into what we want our identity to look like, and really create our own culture from within.
It's the first year, but the U19's sit atop of the MLS Next rankings and have been a great addition to the Florida division. How proud are you of the boys, and what has contributed to their success?
Really, really proud. Very exciting for them to be able to compete now at a bigger stage, and really to showcase that we have the talent here locally from within Jacksonville, and that we can play with the best in the country. So we're very proud of them, but we're also really excited to see how they're going to, go into the qualifiers, how they're going to do against the first opponent, and where that would potentially take them, and what opportunities that could open up for them, as well as for us, as well as an organization.
You just mentioned the GA Cup qualifiers. I know how important that is to qualify for the actual GA Cup, but how important is it to get these players in front of college coaches and national recruits from around the world?
Very important, because not only are these games going to be showcase games, they're going to be games that are meaningful, and in the end, we want to make sure we provide an opportunity for all of our players, but we also understand that not every player can go pro right away. So an outlet such as college, such as the college pathway, is very, very important. It's something that we want to provide our players the opportunity to be able to attain those things and to study and continue their academics, as well as their soccer within good programs, within a good setup, and potentially from there after that to see if they could be ready for the pro game then. But overall, very good opportunity and a very good stage to showcase what they have to offer.
Good stuff there with Tommy Krzanovich. Of course, his work with every level of the academy in the MLS Next program, with the U16s, 17s, and the 19s, as well as they certainly head west and get ready for a big tournament that they have coming up here in the MLS Next Fest, getting set for some really, really top-tier competition and a great chance to compete against some of those great squads. All right, let's bring back in Louis Larandy, who conducted that interview with the head coach We call him the head coach because the head coach of the under-23 team. Technically, he's not the head coach of the U19 team. That, of course, is Elmar who does that part of it. Lewis joining us from the airport there in Dallas as we get some nice flight announcements in the background. Always good to hear about that big flight going to Chicago Midway. I'm kidding. Lewis, let's talk a little bit about the team of the month here for November for the Jacksonville Armada youth squads. And you guys put this together with kind of the coaches of the best players from each of the different levels. And we can kind of spotlight some of the guys on this group who made the cut as part of this most recent team of the month for the month of November. Talk to me about some of the players who you guys are highlighting with this year's group.
As you can see there, Andy Dunn was the keeper for this month, but it could have gone to Garrett Adams as well. They've been absolute rocks at the back for the boys in blue this month. And then you can see there on the right wing highlighted Cohen Pombier, who's been an absolute beast, not only for the U17 squad, but for the U19 squad as well, moving up and being able to slot right in and getting 2 goals in his first 2 games with the older division.
Yeah, very cool. And that's one of the things about these divisions, right? Is if you can play, you're going to play. They're going to move you up and give you that opportunity against some of the higher classifications, and you'll see that with some of these players getting a chance to play at the different levels. And you see some of the other guys on the list here: Danny Stevens, Cole Perez, Jackson Sale, Corey Hudonis, Bodie Bradford, Viral White, Donald Campbell, Jackson Schroeder, who you heard from earlier in the show, Antonio Mafuz, and I think I got everybody's name out there at least once during the course of the show. That's what we do. We like to say names here on the show. All right, so that's your November team of the month for the MLS Next squads with the Jacksonville Armada. And as we talk about the MLS, Lewis, you had a pretty interesting experience here last week. You had a chance to go and check out a conference final for Orlando City. Tell me about that experience, and now we get ready for the MLS Cup final. Unfortunately, it will not feature Orlando City. It will instead feature the New York Red Bulls and Los Angeles going head-to-head.
Well, I know Section 904 is pretty happy that the MLS final won't feature Orlando City, but it was a great game, really. It was a tight affair. New York Red Bulls broke the deadlock through a free kick, which Orlando has been terrible about defending this year. It was honestly a great match. I had some great seats. So it was honestly just a pleasure to be able to watch that high-level soccer in front of me. Emil Forsberg, that was the first time I was able to see him play. He's very, very good. You can tell he comes from that European level. And on the other side of the bracket, LA Galaxy handle their opponent, the Seattle Sounders, and are able to get through. They score off of a late goal from Dejan Joveljic with an assist from Ricky Puig. Puig, the man of the match that game, tore his ACL with 30 minutes left and still finished the game. Will unfortunately miss the MLS Cup final, but will now move on and host an MLS Cup final for the first time in 10 years against the New York Red Bulls, who have not been to the MLS Cup final in 16. So really, it's a battle of the ages, some 2 old school MLS teams reigniting to put together, hopefully, what we would like to see, a great final on Saturday.
You know what, Lewis? It would be great if Major League Baseball didn't just do this. They just did this 2 months ago. I mean, we just saw New York versus LA for the championship, and now we got to do it again in MLS? Can we not come up with something original here, people? I mean, what are we doing? We just had this matchup not too long ago. Of course, it was LA coming up with that matchup. Thanks, of course, to Freddie Freeman, Atlanta Braves legend. Hamby, you're right there with me on that one. Shout out to the Braves.
Right there with you.
We still love you, Freddie. Of course, hey, one final thing about the MLS Cup final. Well, you can watch it on Action News Jax. As we like to point out, that game will be on Fox 30 coming up on Saturday at 4 o'clock. So Saturday at 4, check out the MLS Cup final as the New York Red Bulls will take on the LA Galaxy. You can watch it on Fox 30. All right, Lewis, as we like to do, I think it is time now to get into your weird soccer story of the week. And yeah, this one's interesting, and we're going across the pond. We're going to Le Havre in France. You want to try and pronounce that one for me? Le Havre.
Love, that's as much French as I'll do. But this story does come out of France. This is basically the reason why I wanted to call in. I had to introduce this story. It was so wacky, so wild, that I had to put my 2 cents into this. So this happened just this last weekend. Le Havre played a match where they actually won the match 3-1. But a particular fan in the stands was banned from attending any other matches throughout the season at Le Havre. And that fan in particular was 6 years old. That fan received a 3-year ban from the stadium for throwing some pieces of paper towards a friend that was down below. And it looks like a couple pieces of the paper flew over the advertising boards and onto the field. And the club took some pretty harsh action, I would say, against a 6-year-old trying to just enjoy the game. And I saw that headline, and 6-year-old earns 3-year stadium ban. I could not bring this up on the show.
All right, I got to bring you down a little bit here, Lewis. It was a 3-match ban, match ban, not a 3-year ban. I feel like 3 years would maybe be a little bit too harsh for a 6-year-old to not be able to come back until they were 9. But I absolutely love this story. I love the fact that this kid is getting kicked out of his home stand for 3 matches because he wasn't acting right. Look, we need more of this kind of discipline. We need more parenting. And look, if the parents aren't going to prevent the kid from throwing stuff onto the pitch, well, then the team has to. And Le Havre, I salute you for taking the initiative and doing what you need to do to get this kid in line. And look, he's going to feel it. He's going to feel not being able to see his mighty Le Havres going at it for the next 3 matches. Assuming he had season tickets. What 6-year-old has season tickets? I don't know. He maybe did. I don't know. You probably saw some 6-year-olds at every Inter Miami match this year, but that's a little different. They were all there for that one guy to go watch him play. But look, I love it. I think it's great. I think we need more of these sort of situations. And it was funny because the club said that they wanted to make sure that it was even, no matter who the offender was, they would have gotten the same discipline. Well, in this case, it's a 6-year-old who gets that discipline, and I love to see it. I love that, Lewis. It's good stuff.
I think I got a little bit of a differing opinion on it. You can't ban the parents. You can't ban the
No, the Guardian. The Guardian was banned. The Guardian was banned for 3 matches too. It wasn't just the kid.
The kids got passion, obviously. Want to be there supporting the team.
Passion for wanting to act up and throw paper at his friend? No, you do that stuff at home. You're supposed to be watching the match. Le Havre is putting it all out on the field here and trying to win a match for you, kid. You got to be focusing on your number 9 out there doing his best, not throwing paper. What are we doing? Unbelievable.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen some rowdier things happen at MLS games, but we'll see. We'll see how the story ends. I'd love to get a part 2 to this story, but it looks like this fan will be banned for 3 matches.
Good. You keep me posted on how this thing continues to develop over the next little bit. All right, Lewis, what else you got? You got anything else for me from out there out west? Did you get any snacks on the plane? How's that going?
The snacks were light. We're flying Southwest, but right now we have a 3-hour layover in Dallas. Gonna probably get some Whataburger. Shout out the local cuisine. Yeah. And we got another flight over to Indio, and then a little drive over to the hotel, which is really nice, a JW Marriott Resort. So I think the boys are pretty pumped. We'll get a nice sleep, and the U19's start their day at 11:30 against KSA out of Atlanta. So it should be really action-packed.
What day is that? What day is the first match coming up? Saturday?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. So they jump right out on the field tomorrow.
Yes.
You maybe get a training session in right there in the at the terminal. Can you guys did anyone have a ball they could just kick around in the hallway there?
I think there may be some sort of activation we will run before we get back on this plane. Tommy loves to keep the boys moving around.
I like that a lot. Where's the best place for folks at home to follow along with the journey as you guys try to work your way through the bracket here over the next couple days?
Definitely follow the academy at Armada FC Academy on social media. We're on Instagram and X. You can also follow the main Jacksonville Armada accounts at Jax Armada on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to also stay in the day. We'll be posting scores, updates, behind the scenes videos, and a lot of content's going to come out of this trip.
All right, beautiful. That is your Jacksonville Armada Communications and Social Media Manager, Louis Laurenti. You like that? I got your full title in there. That's what we do here on Fleet and Footy. And that's going to do it for our show here this afternoon. Appreciate everybody joining us. If you missed the conversation with Tom Piatak, go check out the replay on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.